It's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night in Nashville. The kind of night where time feels slow and heavy. Kyle is standing in front of the open refrigerator, not because he's hungry, just standing there, staring at nothing. Outside, summer rain hits Nashville like somebody turned a faucet on full. His wife is asleep. The dishes from dinner are still in the sink. The kitchen is quiet. His laptop is open to a tab he's been trying to close for 40 minutes. The tab on his laptop says, "The average 45-year-old American should have close to $1 million saved for retirement." Kyle is 45. Kyle does not have $1 million saved. Not even close. He checks his 401k twice a year. The other times make him feel like he swallowed something heavy. He has a mortgage with 20 years left. He has a car payment. He has a kid starting college in 3 years. Another just got braces. $31,000 in a money market account he calls his emergency fund. He hopes nobody asks him to define emergency. He's trying to figure out if he's the problem or if the number is. I've got good news and bad news. I've got good news and bad news. Good news, that number is a lie. A statistically laundered, viral, misleading lie. Bad news, the real number is still uncomfortable. And it has a deadline. And more importantly, where you stand. Let's go. My name is Jeff. Today we're going to find out, with actual data, exactly where the average 45-year-old stands in 2026. And more importantly, where you stand. Let's go. Let's start with that headline. The average 45-year-old should have $1 million saved. You've seen it on CNBC, Reddit, Instagram between protein powder ads and an Airbnb in Portugal. It traces to Fidelity's benchmark, 6 times your salary by 50, using salaries higher than most people earn. Or it cites average net worth and pretends average means typical. Here's the problem with that word, average. According to the most recent Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, the average net worth for Americans aged 45 to 54 is approximately $971,300. Technically true, the same way the average person in a room with Bezos is a billionaire, because the median net worth for the same age group is dramatically different. Because the median net worth for that same age group, 45 to 54, is $246,700, a $724,000 gap. $724,000 separating average from real. Average fails because extreme outliers drag the number way up. The top 1% own more wealth than the entire bottom 90% combined. The median just says, here's the person standing in the middle of the line. That's your neighbor. That's Kyle. That's probably you. The median 45-year-old in America has a net worth of $246,700. Not $1 million, not close to $1 million. Pause the video right now. I'm serious. Open your banking app, your 401k. Add up every account. Add home equity, home value minus mortgage owed. Then subtract every dollar of debt. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, all of it. Write that number down. I'll wait. Write that number down. I'll wait. Here's where Americans aged 45 to 54 actually stack up in 2026, based on Federal Reserve data and Vanguard's 2025 report. Under $48,000, you're in the bottom 25%. Not alone. 1 in 4 of your peers is right there. Around $246,700. You are the median, middle of America, around $680,000. Top 25%, doing well territory. $1.4 million or more. Top 10%. $8 million or above. Top 1%. Now, here's where almost every financial article stops, because that median number is hiding something big. Second mistake. Assuming your net worth represents money you can use. For the typical 45-year-old, roughly 60 to 70% of total net worth is locked inside their home. Take Kyle's $246,700. Strip out $160,000 in home equity. and you're left with maybe $80,000 to $87,000 for everything else. $87,000 for retirement, emergency fund, college, investments, everything that isn't drywall. $87,000 for everything that isn't drywall. You cannot pay your grocery bill with home equity. You cannot retire on it without selling. And then, you still need somewhere to live. The Federal Reserve's own research shows strip home equity out of net worth, and the national median collapses by roughly 70%. Doesn't feel like stability on a Tuesday night with the rain coming down. Vanguard's How America Saves 2025, tracking nearly 5 million 401k participants, shows the average 401k balance for ages 45 to 54 is $168,646. $60,763. Not $600,000. Not $168,000. $60,000. Not $600,000. Not $168,000. $60,000. Fidelity's benchmark says by age 50, you should have 6 times your annual salary saved. They're not 6 times their salary. They're roughly 0.7 times their salary. Not behind by a little, behind by an order of magnitude. Not behind by a little, behind by an order of magnitude. Kyle closes the fridge, finally grabs the sparkling water. He opens a second tab, his credit card statement. $9,100. That's what it says. Generation X, roughly 45 to 60 years old, carries the highest total debt load of any generation in America. The average Gen Xer carries $9,600 in credit card debt, 38% more than millennials, nearly 3 times what Gen Z carries. At current credit card rates, now averaging over 21%, that debt is compounding faster than most 401ks. Read that again. Gen X has the highest student loan balance, even out of school the longest. Average Gen X student loan, $38,000. More than millennials, double Gen Z. Kyle's total debt picture. Mortgage with 20 years left, $9,100 on the Visa, a car payment, and a Parent Plus loan he tries not to think about on weeknights. Not a character flaw, math. Here's a fact that almost never makes it into the retirement savings coverage. Between 2019 and 2023, the 5 years that included a pandemic, a stock market run, and a housing explosion, the 40 to 54 age bracket was the only age group in America that lost real wealth. If you were 35 in 2012, worst spot. You'd just survived 2008. Wages were still recovering. Probably renting, paying off student loans, not in a position to max a 401k. By the time you had stability to buy a house or put serious money in the market, around 2019, 2020, 2021, prices had already tripled. The entry point was gone. The wealth window closed exactly when it was their turn to walk through. The problem isn't that this generation failed. The game got much harder, and nobody changed the scoreboard. The facility costs $5,800 a month. Medicare doesn't cover most of it. Kyle and his sister split the bill. His share is $1,400 a month, and it used to be his 401k contribution. This is the sandwich generation, and in 2026, the sandwich is thicker than it's ever been. According to Pew Research, 54% of Americans in their 40s are currently supporting an aging parent, a dependent child, or both. Mom's assisted living, adult kid still at home, younger kid with braces, mortgage, credit card at 21%. And someone expects him to max a 401k. A lot of people Kyle's age hold one quiet hope: the great wealth transfer. First, 68% of that $84 trillion comes from the top 7% of households. Second, the median U.S. inheritance, bottom half, is $9,700. The average cost of end-of-life care is now $130,000 to $140,000 per person. Retirement health care averages another $165,000. The 2025 Social Security Trustees Report, official actuarial, not political, projects the combined trust fund will be depleted by 2034. But here's what has changed. He knows where he actually stands, and knowing is the only way to build a plan that works. If you're 45, you have a compounding window that's still 20 years wide. 20 years of market returns. 20 years of contribution growth. Start, $115K in total retirement savings. Goal, $50 to $60K a year by 65. If you're saving nothing and start contributing $500 a month on top of your existing balance, you end up with roughly $375,000 to $400,000 by 65. If you can hit $1,200 a month, employer match included, you're approaching $700,000 to $750,000. Combined with even a reduced Social Security check, that's a workable retirement. The move that matters most and costs least psychologically. The 1% rule. Increase your retirement contribution rate by 1% every year, just 1%. Most people don't even notice it in their paycheck. 2. Capture every dollar of employer match, not optional. 3. Eliminate high-interest debt. 4. Think about income, not just expenses. There's no ceiling on what you can earn. A skills upgrade, a strategic job change, a side project that generates $500 to $1,000 a month. Around midnight, the rain stops. Kyle drinks the sparkling water, closes the laptop. Monday morning. Before he checks email, before he looks at anything else, he opens the HR benefits portal. He bumps his 401k contribution from 6% to 9%. That's about $200 more a month. Not dramatic, definitely noticeable, but livable. Plans to kill $9,000 in 18 months. $500 a month. Writes it on a sticky note on the fridge. One decision. One Monday morning. In sweatpants. Before the coffee is done. At 7% returns over 20 years, that contribution bump alone is worth somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000 by the time he's 65. Not retire to Tuscany money. But the difference between financial independence and Googling cheapest states for retirees at age 72. That's a real difference. So where do you actually stand? The number you wrote down isn't a verdict. It's a starting line. The number you wrote down tonight is not the number that determines your retirement. The number that determines your retirement is the one you'll have in 2046. When some other 45-year-old stands in their kitchen at 10 p.m. wondering, am I the failure or the benchmark? The median American isn't failing. They're running a race nobody accurately described to them when it started. The race is still going. You just have to decide to run it. Disclaimer, not financial advice. Examples illustrative. Talk to a CPA and a fiduciary. Comments. Tell me your number. Be honest. We're all on the same path. If this video changed how you see your statement, share it with one 45-year-old who's standing in their kitchen tonight. Next video. The 1% rule walkthrough. Year by year. How to design your next decade. Subscribe. Take care.